Hello, hello. Hey, cool. So it was up already. You know what I did there, guys, is I just had it all pre-set up and just didn't hit that last go live. So it must go through. It was kind of a test to see if it did. Hello, Brown Dwarf. How you doing, buddy? Might be talking a little loud. I got earplugs in. I'm going to take care of my head good here. How's it going out there for you? Are you relating with those videos that I put up with the callings and stuff? Good, brother. Hope you're well. I am very well. Thank you. Actually, I think I'm feeling something here. I get through stuff fast, so that's a good thing. But I think we have a couple of glands right here. And I just, from my getting in and out and going and grabbing a coffee and stuff, I just noticed this gland is a little swollen. So I'll especially take care of myself and stuff. You know, I believe in that kind of stuff. It doesn't, like a gland that's sore. You know, it's like a muscle that's sore. It's like other things that are sore, and it appreciates a certain amount of self-love, I think. You know, so if you really can get in there relaxed, if there's a muscle, and you can relax everything else and just use this little bit of muscle and just massage that spot or whatever and send good healing. I'm kind of like one of those kind of guys that I've had a number of injuries, so I do that stuff. Yes, you did, eh? So did you hear the one where I say something about the screaming Bigfoot or something like that, and they sound like they're mimicking donkeys? And I'll just describe to you what happens, because you know how a donkey noise goes, hee-haw, like that. So it's got a big ridge in it, a big hump in it, right? Well, when that big hump is happening, listen, because you'll hear a couple of little humps in there of other ones that are mimicking at the same time with less power, less of a voice, practicing, whatever's going on. That's all part of what we're figuring out right now. But I kid you not, brother. You've been watching me for long enough now or whatever. I know exactly where I'm walking. There's no other question other than they're beings of the forest. So if somehow they really are a dog creature, then I guess that's what they are. But right now, all I do is research on Bigfoot, and I know how to be around where Bigfoot are. And I know there's Bigfoot around there, so. And then these are going on. Like last night in the middle of the night, I kind of so wish now that I really would have made the effort and grabbed something to record. But they put on an awesome coyote show about, I don't know, because I did get broken from my sleep, but I would say it must have gone on for another 20 seconds for me to listen to. And it was a pretty magnificent one, man. And it was really lighting up that whole canyon in there and stuff. And if anybody else in their home woke up, they'd have been having a rush. But yeah, to me, I'm not fooled. Like I've been saying this from a long time now, guys, that they're fooling us. And I've been going with statement after statement about fooling us and so on and so forth. So you people who haven't really grasped that word from me yet, grasp it, because it will help you on your research when you're looking out there going, do I think I'm being fooled here? You know, could somebody fool me? How could somebody fool me? Like somebody can reflect on an intelligence of my level and actually fool me. Well, you know what? Our kids start fooling us pretty young, don't they? And we let them get away with fooling sometimes, and we don't. And there's different people and stuff. You know? And I had 4 kids, so I've watched for lots of trickery, man. And these guys are trickeries. They do tricks. Cheers, brother. So, the biggest reason, or the reason why I wanted to, or the discussion I wanted to start getting going with people, and people just kind of relate on and focus on, is fire starting and such. In my earlier days, let's go back 12 months ago, I was taping a number of videos and had a number of discussion on it, and many months later I've even talked about it, around the 200-year-old great big trees. I've talked about it, and I've talked about them maybe possessing an ability to control fire, whether it's they start a fire, have their technique of starting a fire, which I haven't seen evidence of that. And I believe I would be able to see evidence of that. It kind of makes sense how we would be able to maybe see evidence of that. But I have seen evidence of fire burnt type things that are done in such a way where whatever the heat source was doing all the charcoaling and the blacking and all that kind of stuff seemed to be in a very, very controlled manner that it was being done. So Brown Dwarf is saying angel squatches have been finding fire pits. Okay. Pits, and they are not used. And that's exactly one of their really what I have figured that out to be is just one of their things when we're walking along there. Hey, let's hang out here and have our camp here because there's a fire pit already, and maybe the wardens or whatever, they got some kind of a mentality that it's an invite to us, I believe. Might even be saying, please don't come any further. That invite to stop there and maybe not to continue on. That's how I've usually reflected it, is okay, I'm wanted to be stopped. I'm not, being told this is a good spot to just hang out for a while and then come on up the path some more and then unfired or unused. And then, the beautiful thing about that is even if there happens to be wood in there, dig the soil, sample yourself to make sure you, or not necessarily do that for sure, but feel comfortable if you want to do that and see if there's any blackened stone, so on and so forth. So in other words, I've seen where just the wood is even been brought in or blackened some other way, or whatever. I've a number of times when I've found black wood now, fired wood, is I examine the wood. I try to look at the different thicknesses of the charcoal on the burnt part of it or whatever type thing, because that's one of the things. If somebody's just trying to make it look like there was a fire here and they came up with a tiger torch, they might be silly enough just to be going and getting it all nice and black and all crispy and red and all that kind of stuff, and then they walk away. But maybe they should have been just pointing it at one spot and allowing that fire to kind of make the fire do whatever it does, so you get an impression of a spot of starting. We get that with firewood that's been in the wood, or in a fire. We know it because of how we can sum up with that. But if it's a piece of wood that has been just, once again, a little bit of torch thing, on those trees that are 200 years old, are they 200 years old or 100 years old? 120 years old. On those trees that are 120 years old, they are, they've got this, it's really quite weird, and to me, as far as I can, all testing and looking and just trying to figure it out, it is a charcoal substance. It's not like a mold or anything like that. I haven't been back to those trees for a while, and I look forward to being able to see them. Okay, so continuing on with, and thanks for the thumbs up, guys. And so continuing on then, those 320 years old are 8 months into my journey when I came across them, 10 months maybe, and started to decipher, hey, were these things, have somebody come by and burnt these recently, and blah, blah, blah. Because I was quite upset as soon as I seen that, and I know if I would have seen it earlier in time. I always stare at those trees. I have for years, every time I drive by. If you check out the 120-year-old trees on my channel there, you'll realize, those are something to... those are something that we should be trying hard to save. And they're actually on a piece of farmland that's been donated to the municipality. So I really don't want the Bigfoot creatures breaking them apart, But way earlier, like I was going, I had come across different, that probably you guys are going to relate with this. We find stump dugout, the dugout old stumps. They seem like cedars, they seem red, they seem big, they seem different conditions, all this kind of stuff. And then we come across ones that are somewhat gutted out or just rotted away, and there's not much left inside there. We got to think about that stuff. How much does that stuff just deteriorate into the ground, and the thing's just empty? And who else is cleaning it out to that goodness? Is it a bee? Is it raccoons? Is it a bear? Because there's stuff in there. Who else? Seems to us that these guys particularly probably clean out those things and care for a lot of them. Well, we come across where they've, and you guys I'm sure too, guys and gals, that they're burnt out. So what I do in those cases is I'll look to try to figure out, because generally if that's going to be a burnt out guy, let's just say it was lightning, and this is it, and it turns around and the lightning hits here, well, the fire is going to and do whatever it does, and then it ended up going out, and we still have this thing standing. So if the lightning hit here, or if the lightning hit here, or whatever's going on, however the fire is being lit and actually coming into being a fire, you would be able to generally tell that this, wherever it's been fired and blackened and the heat has gotten into it and stuff, you'll be able to get different depths of charcoalness, where some of it might even break off easily. And probably a lot of you are relating with, yeah, there's been very fine charcoaled in a number of these things, where it's just lightly charcoaled. And you can go in there with your knife and just get a measure of it down up here and way down there, and just process it in your mind and determine where the fire started. Determined if you think it was lightning. You hear, people say that to me and stuff. Oh, it's probably this and it's probably that. Well, I'm the guy who's standing there actually determining whether I think some man climbed up the tree and sat there with a chisel and chiseled out this really cool looking, almost perfect in all the dimensions birdhouse thing, right? And people want me to believe that it's woodpecker and stuff. And it's like, you got to really go and look at woodpeckers' work and understand what they're doing and stuff like that. Woodpeckers, we call them woodpeckers, but is it about the wood or is it about the bugs? I'd like a bird specialist to tell me that one. That'd be interesting. I haven't gotten that one yet. Hello, Bigfoot Memphis. How are you? Good evening back to you. Just doing more of my stuff, brother. Our stuff. Yeah, Brown Dwarf, have you fallen asleep, man? What's up? Hey, Memphis, have you ever gone onto Brown Dwarf there and listened to his cave one, where he's doing a little bit of a cave inspection? Read my, if you have or haven't, or you're going to, read my comments on there and see if you can kind of grasp what I'm talking about on there. It's just for real. The story's bigger than we knew. And it seems like, for some reason, the doors are opening. Yeah, I hear you. I realize you know him well, but that video, though. Okay, cool, dude. What are you cooking us? So, Brown, you also did draw that picture. Like, I was doing a little bit of a close-up to it. You just had it as your full thing on a couple of videos there. And I was thinking, because I think you said you drew that. I was thinking, that's pretty sweet. Is that what the old man's name is? Ha ha! I don't even know if I've seen him. Does he show his face? Or maybe that really is Brown Dwarf. Yeah, he does, eh? Maybe that is really him then, his little, his thumbnail there, eh? What's your thumbnail there? Hey, Sasquatch? What's your thumbnail all about there? Is that like a painting or something? Am I seeing a black figure in there walking along with a moonlit night and starlit and stuff? Sorry about my rudeness. If it is rude, but I'm a hungry man. Having myself some Timmies. You guys might not know about Tim Hortons yet, eh? I see. Okay, cool. Well, you opened up a can of tuna, cool. Tuna sandwich. Tuna salad sandwich. As I'm chomping away here. So my Wi-Fi is coming in pretty good. And I'm parked further away from the building, actually. So that's a good thing to know. Kind of weird how that kind of stuff can happen sometimes. Well, it's not as weird as where we walk around, I guess, eh, guys? I went to my family dinner the other day, and I'll just finish. Went to my family dinner the other day, and one of my, cousins by marriage and stuff, cool dude, he comes up and he goes, they all think you're freaking crazy, eh? I know. Okay, I just wanted to I just want to make sure you knew. But and then he continues to say, but I don't. I know there's something out there. And yeah, man, my stamps hit today. I'm munching, smoking a little reggae. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, because you were waiting for licensing or something like that, were you? To have your actual permit? Hey, Junior. How's it going? Senior's got to clean up his talking now that you're here. So what do you guys think? Do you think the world gets to keep going the way it is going for a while here? Or do you think things start changing, just keep this tumbling? Like, it seems like it's chaotic out there, but I know I have a nice life. When it really comes down to it. I'm sure all of us can kind of say that who are here right now. Can say, yeah, our lives are pretty cool, whatever. But we see these other things on TV and the computer and stuff like that. And they say our lives are going like that and stuff, and it's like, I don't know, man. We don't have the ridiculous amount of people. Sure, we're getting a lot of stupidness coming and going and stuff, right? We're trying to figure out things properly, I hope, which we're not always, but we don't have ridiculous amount. You guys, 350 million people really isn't that many people. When you can turn around and look at all these other mighty places, and you don't even have to think about the billion people ones. Who's in between you guys? I wonder. At 350, because we're only like 35 million people. You guys are at like 350 or 370 million people. Pretty low numbers. A certain easy amount of numbers of people to watch over, I think, and stuff. I don't know. So Memphis Jr. is saying you're lagging, oh? Oh, yeah? The shit with the structures being built and found by officials will either blow up or become covered up. Yeah, but they don't understand it. They don't like, they can turn around and say, okay, yeah, we're going to recognize that there's something out there that builds structures. That's all they're going to say. So where does that really get it anyways? Are they going to be brave enough even to try to say those words? They're going to maybe say, okay, there's a conclusion coming that there might be something out there, so we kind of support people looking or whatever. I don't know. Yo, sup? Hey, Pokey, how's it going, man? Right on. Showing some love. Right on, man. Thank you for the like. Kaiser's new video. Kreider's new video? No, I haven't. What's going on there? Yeah, you're good? Pokey, cool. Cool. A back adjustment there. If anybody's aware of that kind of a manipulation, nice and gentle and soft. Where are you, Pokey? They all up with court with new and seen evidence. Oh, yeah? You're not talking about our BC court case, are you? Oh, yeah, that's right. You're in Hawaii. I went over and checked out your thing there. Like, when we met on that chat. Because at first I was looking at, you know how we do that, right? You're trying to figure out where a person's from or whatever, and I'm looking at you. And I wasn't really sure. I was almost thinking like kind of Asian or something. No insult, it's life, right? I wasn't looking great. I'm just looking at the little things there on this little 4-inch screen here, right? And then I happened to see the word Hawaii and stuff, so I thought, oh, cool, man, I'm going to make sure I check back here. So you better be entertaining. Hey, you know what? I don't know if you've heard, Pokey, but I'm a guy, or the guy, that is really talking about the beyond just a few structures and different things like this. But Bigfoot are they're maybe even the pollinators, let alone the forest keepers, and they also do a lot of ground shifting and fracking, and they'll do rediverting of creeks, and they do a lot of stuff that messes with us. We're starting to realize that they're being hard on our concrete foundations, and we're going to start noticing that they're hopefully, who knows what their diving abilities are in waters and stuff, to go down to bases of foundations in water and be causing problems that we're really totally unaware of yet. Because we always look for evidence up here. We're not sending scuba divers necessarily down there, even every 10 years or anything like that, right? Because I've noticed it on one of our old train bridges here recently, where I'm documenting where I 100% believe it's them with their scoring techniques, and I've been talking about those scoring techniques now for 12 months or something, and I've cased it on many different items. I carry around a little piece of concrete block like that and have score marks on it to show people, and it's kind of neat because it was one of those big 45-pound, it's one of those big 4,500-pound blocks, right? Or 4,000-pound blocks. And so it's got 4 corners. And on the one in particular corner says here, they did a diagonal line across here. And you can see because the diagonal line scribe, when the break happened, it took some of the scribe with it. It's not like it perfect on the scribe. So scribe, I believe a scribe here, maybe not a scribe on this one here, but it was triangular like that, down and down. You're getting that, yeah? And then a plunk or whatever. So it's kind of like a 3, it's like a little pyramid sort of thing. So done a video on it. I'll pull that up again someday and stuff and show my little lunchbox of goodies. Anyways, so I just wanted to say, because I believe so hugely in them having to do with the forest and the trees and stuff, I would be not understanding how they're not going to be in the Hawaiian Islands. I won't be comprehending that one. I think they're just probably super, because the lava, like your guys' cave system is probably insane there, isn't it? And that's what they'll be taking advantage of. And so you guys are just probably really unaware because, yeah, there's something about there. It just tells me, what about your cave system, Brown dwarf, take a look at. There's a new video from a couple of days ago. It's called The World 2 Biggest Cover-Ups. The Flat Earth Conspiracy. So, you Bigfoot Memphis, you're a flat earth person? I don't really look into the flat earth stuff too much or anything. I just, no. Just come across the subject sometimes and stuff. It's a subject flying around all the time out there now, right? But yeah. I'm stuck in this world trying to convince people that the way that I see these guys monkeying around, that we should be checking out and just watching a little bit closer on them. And I'm trying to, get them to be aware that I know a way to do that, my government and stuff, right? So the Bigfoot cover-up. I'm sure there's been a number of cover-ups. I just don't... the government's going to know about them to some degree and stuff. I mean, there's regular people in there like us. I just don't think that they're aware of to what extent they're here. That's what my kind of evaluating is telling me. The government knows, but they're not going to say anything to the public, yeah. I just don't... Yeah, I hear you on that, but I don't know if you probably don't know yet, but I talk unbelievable numbers of these guys. Obviously, I just told you that I believe that they pretty much want to touch every tree. Whether they have to, whether they get to, and so on and so forth, I don't know those couple of answers. But I know in their spirit, they will want to be working all the trees and stuff. And I don't know to how far down on the plant species list, excuse me, but because for an example, like a rhododendron, they muck around with them. They de-skin them, all the bark and different things like this. And I was almost seeing it as a new phenomenon. I've asked a couple of old people if they've, up at some of these parks and stuff, if they had ever seen it before. And they were quite confused to know that the rhodos were being kind of looking a lot like the arbutus tree. And the arbutus tree, a long time ago, I said it's their prize, you guys. That's the one that they kind of probably maybe really started the craze on. And I think it might have changed the species in some respects to be hardier in that way and blah, blah, blah. They always thought it was only growing within certain areas of the ocean air and stuff like that. And now they're finding them in different areas and blah, blah, blah. So, getting a lot of new information. The Earth is a sphere, and not every video on YouTube is true. Yeah. You just have a great time in It's Not Flat or something. Great fell in It's Not Flat. Fell. Feeling. Gotcha, brother. Yeah, Tin, what you think that they do with the bark? Chew it. Yeah, I hear you. I wouldn't doubt it if they're eating it. Certain species, for sure, they're going to. And I don't know, but they take it away. In so many of the cases, like on the rhodos and stuff, it's not, I didn't calculate it really fine, but if I'm going into my memory here, I don't think it was as big as a deal, but on the arbutus tree, it's very cleaned up. I found an arbutus tree in Abbotsford at the Mill Lake Park. Put it up on a video not too long ago. Did a little talk. It shows, so if you're skimming through my latest in the last month or whatever type thing, you would just see this kind of beautiful looking knot and stuff, right? That's the arbutus tree. But yeah, so got to talk about it there. You know, it's kind of neat how this thing is looking as beautiful as the arbutus trees out oceanside, and where we thought they need that specific kind of an environment, and now we know it's different, and we're going to learn that about a lot of things. And I think we're going to end up figuring out probably, you know, kind of ecosystem, as in country to country kind of an ecosystem. Some of the trees might be more related than we really realize and stuff, right? There's a chance that we might end up realizing that, okay, there was a huge deposit of trees somehow here, the formation that started trees, and these guys have taken this and planted whatever they've planted around the earth. We might be finding that out. Isn't that trippy? Because I kid you not, the ferns, you'll notice that ferns have just evolved. They're just gone, they're everywhere. And that's because of their planting of them. Blackberry bushes in this area thrive huge. So think about your kind of crazy plants that thrive. And if you can season them, like I've pointed out on one field of the blackberries here, where they never ever made it into flowering. And through this season here, they've stayed a little beautifuler looking and purplier and stuff like that. So they stayed really healthy and stuff, but they never... So in other words, that whole field, let's just call it a half an acre, hillside. And I called it from the beginning, they planted it. And that's part of the proof to show that though that section never made it into the same mood as this section. Now why? You know, why did an acre of it? Not any of them. Because it was all freshly planted, and it was called at the very beginning. And part of the reason I knew that is because my dog could go running through there. And then by the, few months later, 5 or 6 months later or whatever, I ended up realizing, holy cow, there's no chance he would go through there now. Like, he would, but I don't have him anymore. But So yeah, plant life stuff, manipulation. Okay. With the bark, do they make gum? I was told, but I don't know if that's true or not. Make gum, well, I hear you. They're going to have their ways that they like a little bit of a chewy candy and stuff and wrap it in some sap and stuff like that. I think I've suspected sometimes that the way they monkey around with the trees, the cycling they're doing with them, is it might be lessening the amount of sap that the tree actually produces. So that's one thing we got to remember. Well, they'll figure it out or whatever, but I remember coming across that thought a couple of times. There's so many different thoughts I've come across through this whole adventure. I don't talk about those early days all the time because there's too much information still happening right here. So I'm just I retain a certain amount of it, watch my video or whatever, and then bang and stuff. So the rest of my life, I'm not retaining that much, but that's okay. I'm cool. Yeah, they strip it a lot of the trees here, especially oak and cherry trees. Yeah, cherry trees too, eh? Cool, interesting. So do they do it the same way on a tree, or they probably do it different? Oh, oak even. Oak and cherry tree, what way are they stripping them? Are they just doing bark peeling and stuff? Or do they do like that cedar strip? The street cedar strips that even our natives used to do, your natives and stuff? They just kind of slice it here and a little slice there, and then and it kind of goes in a long slice like that, and kind of like that. Or are you talking about the other kind? Because I was first picturing, when you're saying stripping, I was thinking that way at first. Memphis Jr., you're saying that you realized that there's a lot of energy. Right, I got you. Yes, I believe they have a lot to do with the formation of trees also. Yeah, I hear you. The bark designs, if they didn't touch the trees, the bark designs would be way different. Those are chaotic bark designs. How we have all these trees where we're just getting these bunch of branches that are just coming out, and and we think they're flowering trees for some reason we think it's normal, but it ain't normal. That's the same thing, but that it's just a chaotic design that they do. And it's the same thing throughout all the bark system. It's a chaotic design through it all, and then they try to keep, it seems, species within species on these different designs and stuff. But sometimes you'll come across where there's a flop up and stuff, or a change up. I think it's sometimes testing, because they like to see how trees react in different ways. They're pretty adventurous that way, I think. Pookie, none of us know for the what's true. I'm not sure what you're saying. It's all speculation. Yeah, a lot of speculation here, man. A lot of us will be proving stuff right, just dreaming stuff up sometimes. And Tin Man, do you listen to Sasquatch Chronicles? No, I don't. Is that one kind of main storyteller guy that's always... There's two guys, and then the one old-timer, it sounds like, is... he's got a good story line of telling stories. Is that the one? You know me, I get those things mixed up. So we got... that's a new theory that you have thought. Tin Man, I look at as if the Earth is alive... and the Squatch is part of that somehow. For sure, and I've come to the place, too, that we are. And you know, one of the biggest ways that I come, or not one of the biggest ways, but one of the things I started thinking about a long time ago there, Junior, was I just started, you know, you just go inside your head like this and you go through your body and you can see how everything is being carried for feeding and all that kind of stuff. Even this and stuff. And it's all carried with lines, with tubulars, with rivers, with connections, with whatever kind of a thing. But soon as it can't go any further, then it can't go any further. Generally, unless it's a disease, maybe, then we're going a little bit different if we started to bring in cancerous. Anyways, so now you got that thing. And now you go up there and you go up from Earth, you stand in space there and you look at Earth and it's just covered in all these veins. It's got the, you know, where in Hawaii there it's got all the lava veins and tunnelings, like I was saying there and stuff. There's going to be tons of little just whatever amongst lava. And if these guys have an ability to break the lava, I don't know how easy. Lava rock probably breaks pretty easy, actually, doesn't it? I don't know. Let me know that one. In some cases it does. But even to the Milky Way, that's a vein, we kind of see it. The trees, they're two sets of veins. Their heart and soul is right at that surface of the earth. It's all right there, earth under earth. Right there is their heart and soul of the real being who is the tree. And it really makes sense because we also know that's where the seed is, where that original thing, unless it's a branch, broken, whatever type thing, then whatever goes on with the knowledge of a tree goes on. But anyways, so down here, it's just a major vein system. Going up here, it's just a major vein systems. And both of them are eating off of what they're getting from here and what they're getting from here. And then they're both sides are giving back to their environments too and stuff. So that goes to show the neutralness and the love of a tree and how it's supposed to be just 100% like that. And then, you know, the rivers and stuff. And then us, how we do have to get along. We have to use the trail system. Why? Mostly because it works the best in our minds, I wouldn't doubt. But all of our travelings, all of our getting arounds and stuff like that, we only comprehend with vein systems. You know, how we transport all our foods around the world and stuff. We always follow certain routes once you figure out the best way to get that route there. So you're in a vein system with that boat or whatever, and you're following that to the destination to give the feed there or whatever it is. So that's how we're transferring everything around. And now we look at all our monkey beings and all that kind of stuff, and all of these mammals and stuff like that. As far as I would guess, all of that stuff is of a vein system. And then as far as I've seen these beings where I physically have seen them and I got them on tape and stuff like that, I'm really sure that they're also going to be of the vein system. So I think we're both products of Earth. A couple of different answers and evolvings. I don't think that we might have all evolved from this pinpoint, but we didn't all evolve from each thing that's coming along here. You know, the way that I see it. So I don't think just because if a monkey or a chimpanzee happens to almost have a hand sort of like this, it doesn't have any relation that we are related with a chimpanzee. But I would imagine that it may be able to say that we're related with the thing that went off to those two things. Right? So it's a pre-thing that's going off. You kind of see, this is just me with my thought and where I'm going when I'm walking around out there in this crazy world of ours. We're all connected somehow, says Junior, that's correct. Greetings, red-headed Martian, or big-headed Martian. Bigfoot Memphis is saying, I've got also on video, pits of bark. Its purpose, I don't know, but it's really weird, the things they do here. Right on. Cool, cool. Have you come across fake beaver falls yet, where you can recognize the tree is fallen down? And you know, think about this: when a beaver's going to clean up a tree and take it away, how many pieces he would have had to cut it up into to take it away. Think about the amount of shavings that would be left on the ground is the right volume. Pick up the shaving and look at the shaving and decide if you think it's a real shaving. And I'll tell you the characteristic of a Bigfoot shaving, because he mimics voices. He also mimics accidents. He mimics, like the cracking on concrete, like on a big bridge, is going to be like that. It's not going to be this perfect, you know, I'm going to keep scoring and make it all look nice and uniform and stuff. That's where they get out of their artistic behavior. But I, few times, have come across where I'm looking at their sculpture of how they cleaned up that tree to look like a beaver. The guy got too carried away on how good of an artist he was, and he had a pleasure doing it, and it's so clean, it's not a beaver's capability to clean it up like that. But anyway, so you pick up the bark, the pieces, and they're generally like about, you know, about that big or whatever, you know, kind of a flat piece like this, and they kind of almost, a lot of them kind of look like this and stuff right where they're bent. And the best is on one side. You generally have 4 slits. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe. 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 That's what I see. Is I see these pieces, so many are like that. Even when they're shorter, they'll have 4 slits lots of times on one side. So you think about this thing. Maybe it's the downside and this thing just goes like this. And then with these teeth, he finishes it and or goes like this or whatever. We'll figure that out. But I swear, those pieces really, and so many of the times when you start picking them up and stuff, there's curvature of a cut this way, because that's not the only cut. There's also that cut to end the piece, right? So the ending of the piece could be just 2, and then the pull at the same time or something. Plus that, yeah. However they're doing it, it's really trippy because it's hard to line it up, because I think what they probably do is they do a bunch of pieces. They might take off some bigger chunks or whatever type thing, and then they do a bunch of pieces that they're going to leave behind or whatever, those type of evidence. And then they finish cleaning up this thing to make it look like it's the beaver's fall or whatever type thing. And I've busted them lots of times where the beaver wouldn't have been able to take away whatever's gone. There's no sign of what's gone. You know, different things. Peeling the bark and drying it out, hanging it up in the trees. I hear what you're saying, but I have not come across that where, although I'd appreciate seeing something like that. That's a new theory. Oops. Everything is a spiral, big-headed Martian. I don't know. Big-headed Martian, apes, yes. Yeah, they might. That'll be interesting. Could be very interesting. I've seen some different looks at my videos, guys, where it's real trippy stuff what's going on. Memphis is saying, yes, that's the way to look at it, Tin Man. It's a lot to look at, though, because it's the energy again, and we are not alone on the journey. I don't think. I can only imagine filling a Sasquatch. Yeah. I hear you, brother. You know, I watched this video today, and it was kind of a safari reserve, I think, or something. I'm not too sure exactly, but the father of the young cubs, they got reunited or whatever. And so it's like 4 young cubs, right? And the mother or whatever. Anyway, so it's kind of interesting. I just wanted to see how they react and stuff. Anyway, so the cubs just kept on bugging the big male and stuff like that, right? And then finally, at the end of it, it was kind of like the big male was tired of the people being there too, videotaping it or whatever. So he did this big call, and these young ones all scattered because they weren't really sure why he was doing it. I guess they're learning. And he went on with this big call. He's got this great big head that's just coming forward like this. And because the head looks way different when they're doing that moo call thing, right? And when his head's sticking out there, I'm looking at it, I'm looking, geez, man, that's almost baboonish in a way. And the way his voice was able to go with the octaves and stuff like that. I'm sitting there thinking, if I was in front of him, and that sound was hit in my head, because I got this head thing, right? That could make me kind of, like kind of collapse kind of thing or something like that, I think. I was watching this this thing on the blue whales. The biggest whales in the world, and they said their octave range or whatever was like 200 plus or whatever type thing. And they said if they did that, the average person, for you to hear that, it would kind of make you, can't remember the word, but I remembered that, I had to be toast way before that then. And that's kind of one of my issues, is it's the octic level or whatever, that volume, whatever, I just call it a volume level or something. But there's certain sounds that get involved in. I'm not too sure exactly what I'm saying, but I don't want one of those Bigfoots. You know how when they're doing that, I'm saying, hey guys, these Bigfoots are growling at me and they're making these noises at me and stuff. They're still at a range where it's not affecting me, like in a thing like that. If it gets to that point, then I'll start going like this, or I'll walk away. I should make sure I have my earplugs in my pockets when I'm doing that. So then Bigfoot Memphis is saying, I've seen the way certain trees are cut to where it looks like beaver done it, but differently done. Yeah, perfect. Now kind of just dig up look at the wood chips. Like even go to those spots if you want to gain. The wood chips will be there forever, some of them. And yeah, you're getting it. And it'll very fine work. Beaver can get pretty aggressive. Not to say that he's just ripping the tree apart necessarily. He is kind of doing a job too, so he don't want to hurt his teeth and stuff, right? Have you spotted any lights in the woods, Tin Man? No. I've never spotted any lights in there. You have, eh, Brown Dwarf? Is that what you're saying for the lights? So what did you see, Brown? Memphis is saying, gotta dip out, everyone. Ian, have a great night. See y'all soon. Perfect, man. Take care, Memphis. Thanks for stopping in, brother. Thanks for the thumbs up. Brown Dwarf, Pretty Lights. I have videos uploaded to my channel. Okay, and it's called Pretty Lights. Call me Memphis. Okay, I'll call you Memphis. It's Memphis Brown Dwarf now, guys. Everybody, this is Memphis Brown Dwarf. UFOs. I don't know about that. I don't even really go with the thought of UFO and Bigfoot involvement. I think UFO, if there is something about that, then if they're getting involved with Bigfoot, then they are. You're late, are you? Vibes of the truth. Well, you got the truth carrying you, so we'll have to... The truth is, we have to keep going for longer, right? How's it going, Vibes? I'm going to take out one of my earplugs so I feel comfortable. I think I'm going to take them both out. For a guy like me, guys, it's nice to put, because to put up with earplugs is still a put up for me to have to put up with them, You know that. Anybody who has to use earplugs is, here we go again. So, you still get a break. So, in other words, some ways guess I have to admit I got a disability, but I can still deal with it. Took a while to do that, figure that out, I think. That it's hard to deal with yourself when you're kind of different all of a sudden quick. Okay, you're glad that you finally caught in? Right on, vibes. Well, what do you want us to talk about then? What shall we say? Anything you have to say? Any questions? I'm with the old SR member, so it's been real and it's been fun. Okay, brother, take care, eh? Not too sure what the SR member is. Oh, I see. You're with them. Gotcha, I gotcha. See you later, Junior. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your comments and everything, man. What are your thoughts on the Wendigo? What's the Wendigo? Almost sounds like that's going to be a joke. Right on. We will. We all gotta take it easy for sure, eh? It's funny, eh? Who would ever thought 20, 30 years ago we'd be sitting around doing something like this, eh? Good times. This in particular parking lot I'm in, guys. This tree, I'm just going to turn the camera a little bit so you can see it a bit. And what I want you to realize is really what you're seeing on the tree, on all of the branches and stuff, is you're going to see a tree. Try not to get the light in your eye too much. And then you're going to see these chaotic kind of ish branches, right? And it's just packed with big moss pieces all over it and stuff. And this is part of the work of what they do is they farm moss. I know they farm it. I've talked before, like you guys, I'm pretty sure I'm in a farm even here of the moss. And then they transplant it. I've seen the technique of where they've been stripping it off of a tree and then all of a sudden where it isn't and it's regrowing, because they like to obviously leave a younger layer when they're going to take it off so that grows. So they're quite smart that way, right? So that's why you see a lot of cut branches and a lot of cut stuff, is because that tree gets to keep doing its thing and that one goes somewhere else and will be a job, whether it's to whip their kids or to eat it or to replant it or something, or even if it ends up just becoming earth again, it's still to them is kind of fulfilling its job. Keeping in mind, they might not be so upset with us really with all the forestry stuff that we do. They actually might find it a challenge to have to go, oh God, there they go, cut a bunch of those ones down. Now they're retransplanting, and we got to start growing those, doing our stuff we do to those ones. They might be, oh God, these stupid humans, man, they're making us a whole bunch more work. Let's have some more kids. Canadian Bigfoot type. It's a creature up in Canada. Oh, okay. I had an encounter with it last winter. It's what led me to people like you, Brown Dwarf, and others. Sweet, sweet. thanks vibes of the truth. And that Wendigo. And what do they say about that guy? It's going to be a two-legged creature, isn't it? I mean, like where it can go on its, it can stand on its two legs. Describe what it looks like. Because I have, that I can get in my head, I can get 3 distinctive, good different looks. Right? For some reason, I'm just losing one of them right now when I'm thinking. Okay, I'll check it out. Oh, so it's on your thing right here. Is that the thumbnail right there then? Gotta know the lingo, man. It's called a thumbnail. Cool. I'll check it out right. Oh yeah, actually I can do a triple tap right now. Boop boop boop. Oh, there it is again. So it's got horns. So is that kind of a horned elk, like a... Did it have some kind of like a deer head on it? With horns? Some kind of an arm or something like that, coming like that? You're bad? So, is everybody having a good time? Get me talking if you want. Other than that, I'm just chilling. Oh, I was going to show that tree, wasn't I? Okay, so here's that wicked looking tree with the moss. And this parking lot right here happens to have... Hopefully you're seeing that all right. I'll change it around a little bit. Let me go unplugging. Oh, it looks like it's even maybe got some berries on it still. That's another thing. The berries were very odd. So you see the big chunkness of it, right? I'll try to get that light in behind it a bit. So yeah, that's just an infested tree. That, you know, back in the days, you remember when we were kids and stuff, you guys that are around me, I remember people always wondering, oh, they'd be spraying these and they'd be doing stuff to clean them up. But I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at all of them here in this parking lot. They didn't go into a crazy growth with the tree like that and huge that way. But there's a multiple, it looks multiple species where they have that same species throughout a lot. And yeah, they're just caked in moss. And probably more than one species. Like I think that on the lower part of the tree that there's a white moss, a type of a skin moss on there also. What that's all about might be no problem. Might be perfectly fine that that's all going on. But that's part of the evolution of this. The evolution of what's going on now with these guys isn't 100% bad stuff. But it's heavy stuff and it's a lot of stuff and we got to figure stuff out. And what that evolution might be is that this is a good relationship. It's helpful. It's helpful for the economy. Maybe we'll more start deciding that we can't work for money so much anymore. We got to just work for for self thing and put in our time as a human in whatever kind of a thing you're wanting to be in, and you know what I mean? Like if they're the way that I talk, if this world is covered in these beings, and now they're starting to pop out so much, then there's a change happening. You know what I'm talking about, all? You never seen the entire body, okay. So did you do that drawing then? I was having... Oh, you thought you were having a Bigfoot encounter till the next morning, and I got... Okay, so that's a real footage then. A real photo. Of the tracks in the snow. The next morning, I got footage of the tracks in the snow. Cool. It's from online. Okay, I got you. Okay, so I don't know if you've heard me much, but these guys are master mimickers. Like I was talking about, I think you were here when I was just talking about that wood, the beaver wood, where they make a tree look like it was beaver's work. Well, they do that with our voices, I'm sure you're following that, where there's, they mimic dogs, they mimic donkeys, they'll mimic all kinds of different animals, horses, they'll mimic lots of things, birds, wind, and they also mimic looks of things. One thing that I talked about a long time ago is there's a certain way I believe they can bend their foot, that if they chose to be just walking on their tiptoes, that base of the tiptoes, I'm not talking about that part of the tiptoes, that base right there, if they chose to walk on that, they would have such a bend in them that if a person's seen that, at least on a side profile somewhat or whatever, they might conclude that it's like a hind legness of a dog standing on his hind legs. And, with these guys with sticks and different things, what they're willing to do and how they're willing to masquerade and stuff like that, just keep that all in mind, even when we're looking all the time. Lots of times when I'm watching other people's videos, and they're saying, oh, here he is over here, and he looks like this, and his fingers are all like this, and he's all doing all this stuff like this. I'm sitting there, and then they make that go away, right? I'm going, no, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, and you think it's just one. I don't get some of the people's stuff, but I know they're onto something. So I think to myself, well, we're both connecting with something there, so there's most likely for sure, because we're talking about pretty shitty pictures sometimes too, where you're really just going into the speculation of it. You know what I'm saying. Not unless he's getting out there like Patty. We can't put the 100%. You can put 100% on people that you trust their description, and their description is darn awesome. Like my couple of descriptions are darn awesome descriptions, along with darn awesome footage of a language of seeing it. So you got that choice, and then plus where there's vocalization on there, at least from me, so you get to also read that whole impact of the thing of how I'm acting. With the whole thing, because that's how our brains work. We're putting the whole picture. You're looking at the leaves. You're trying to figure out what jungle is he in. Is he in the Canadian jungle? Is he in the Amazon? Looking for mushrooms. You're looking for dirt. You're looking for clay. You're looking for other things. That's how you get good at this. Do they mimic trees? Yes, I believe they do. You know what? Hello, D. Stewart. I believe part of the mimic tree thing is we might end up finding out, because they'll climb a tree, and now they're in the tree, and not everybody gets to stand there in a certain position going, let's look at the human. Some guys have to sacrifice and don't get to look and stuff. They like to do their work, so they will eventually be able to look. And that might be their calculated move, that they're going to be still working into it as the whole process of you. Because when you're moving like this, then they're willing to move more. When you're like this, they're not willing to move as much. Makes sense. So the totem pole, I think, in my view, I think that's going to be a really good representation of maybe where the native people got that first art of theirs of building the totem poles. Because a couple of months back in my country, here in Canada, up in Harrison area here, or in Mission, I mean, just off from Mission, Hemlock Valley. There's a native group, council or whatever in there, the tribe in there, that they talk about a few thousand-year-old stories, verbal stories that they talk about within their community about the Sasquatch are the woodsmen of the forest. And that's pretty much what they know, is that they're spiritual beings and they're woodmen of the forest and so on and so forth like that. And it's pretty much the end of it, of what they get. They don't really know what mark is theirs or anything like that. And so that I loved, because when I first came across these guys and realized that I actually were across them, I was calling them woodsmen of the forest. And that's where I was mostly looking, is just in a forest at that time, which I've hardly been back to that forest. And it's been where I've had unbelievable success. This thing mimicked an owl. Yeah, that's what they do. And a human scream. Oh, yeah, eh? Interesting when they do human sounds, eh? Yeah, one place where I have the one video where I say I'm like 20 feet off of a bunch of them in the tree or whatever there. I ended up doing a couple of things where I walked up closer. And a guy walks past and he says something to me or whatever. If you happen to know the video, that's what we were kind of talking about at a moment there. Because he said, yeah, the owls were going crazy in here last night. And I had a comment and stuff like that. I can't remember, but I'm just laughing inside because I'm standing. He asked me just before that, he goes, is anything interesting? Because I'm standing there real still like this, maybe saying whatever I'm saying and stuff. And he's walking over here and he goes, anything interesting? I just said, oh yeah, there's all kinds of things interesting. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, something's going on in this tree that I'm filming. And then he said about the owls going crazy in here last night. And it's kind of like, yeah, I know they would have been, or they weren't, but these guys were, unless they have, We always wonder about a pet system and stuff too. We like pets. Why won't they in some reform, right? So Vibes is saying, I used to believe they were just intelligent apes in the woods. Now I think there is something much stranger going on. Yeah, eh? D. Stewart is saying, I heard a woman scream. Thanks for the big capitals. I heard a woman scream in, I'm trying to look for a large case, right? Instead of small case. Anyway, scream in the woods in the 80s. Oh, I felt like I was being set up. Okay, I heard a woman scream in the woods in the 80s. I felt like I was being set up. I get you. So do you get that at all, Vibes of the truth? When you heard the human-like scream, do you think there was any encouragement for you to kind of be interested in it? Oh, you're even saying good call, Stuart. Vibes of the truth. Memphis Jr. Are you saying hello to everybody? Sup? Cool. Yeah, they're tricksters, man. And that, it sounds like probably, I'm going to kind of just say this, but it sounds like women may fall victim more often to getting lost in the forest and such like that. There might be more men that go out there, and maybe the number is higher that men go missing. But in a percentage-wise of, how many women as per men and stuff, I doubt if it's a little bit different. And I have a theory on that for Bigfoot, and exactly kind of what we're talking about, that screaming there. And how we as men, if we got lost out in the forest, and you're just basically, you just realize that, like, you're just naked. You're standing there, you got nothing but fear in you settling in now, and you're realizing, I got to get out of here, man. I'm kind of screwed up lost. Think about a woman getting into that spot and feeling the same thing where she's totally on her own and she's going, oh my God, I'm by myself. I'm out here. What am I going to do? And that's what they attempt to do with people, is they get them with, when you're going, oh, geez, there must be a house over that way. Baby crying, whatever type thing, dogs barking, stuff like that. Oh, I got to go that way. And then you get through this valley, and you get down in this valley, and then, oh, it's actually up this way. And then 3 or 4 days later, that person's dead because they just walked themselves and got cold and got into the wrong place. And it seems like there's almost an increase in that stuff. We may think, oh, it's mushroom season, so there's an increase. Or do we think, oh, it's the cold season, and the increase is happening because of that? So, and it does, these bodies still will still sometimes even turn up. These bodies will turn up in a way where these professional search and rescue guys have become very professional and stuff and don't make a lot of mistakes. So they kind of mark their paths. They know where they go and stuff like that. And then in cases when they've come back and then a body's been laying here and stuff. So we know what's going on. We all know what's going on, and many, many humans know what's going on, out there in certain fields, but doesn't feel like it needs to be an epidemic or anything, so not enough people are getting connected with it. And this is the thing, we don't want this one to be become an epidemic, and that's good that we are putting in what we're putting in, guys. And sometimes we feel like you don't get something for it, except for maybe people laughing at you and stuff like that. Well, be proud for yourself that you're doing this for, your nieces and nephews of the future, your children of the future, humanity of the future, if you so will. I don't have a problem, even though there's so many ignorant people out there, I don't have a problem dedicating my moves for humanity. Even though there's so many ignorant a-holes out there. The ignorant a-holes aren't behaving in a humanity way, if I'm willing to say they're that far off, right? If it's just lost, stupid people and stuff like that, then those kind of people just we have to do a culture adjustment where we get to slap those people again somehow, like, smarten up and just behave and quit being so stupid and away trying to get so much attention and whatever it would be. Baby sounds. Yeah, baby sounds. I'm not so good with technology, but I try to put up the video. Okay. How did it happen? Are they being hunted? ? Is this why we see them more often? No. I've had a couple of things for this. I wonder if they're a migrating being somehow, and they've come to our forest here and stuff and done a lot of work. But now that I've been going and connecting with so many different people and kind of seeing some people's videos and stuff and relating more of the thing, if your forest is flourishing, full, then they're there. If it's less and drier climate and so on and so forth, see where the green patches are, that's where they'll be. And in most cases, I think that they'll be there in part to be reaching out to those forests and changing them how they want to. I don't put it past them that they might be encouraging even like a deserty kind of condition of forest, plus the rain style forest. 100% all the rain style and moldy and mossy, and I've seen some of the forests where just a year ago I'd walked through and it was a certain amount brown and green as I'm walking through there, and I'm talking about my first habitat there, and when I go back there now, it's way greener. It's like they just green, and it was awesome. So I got to see this all in a year, this change, and it wasn't like a season change. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the year later from each points, right? And so yeah, they're really up to just different things. It might not be a problem with the humans, but they're creating problems for us. But they might be just that red ant, fire ant that's in your wall, having a whole bunch of babies. And next thing you know, that wall's just going to actually start to crumble apart. And what you would like to know is those ants are in there ahead of time. So if you see your cat playing around there and crap like that, investigate why the cat's there. And next thing you know, you see a red ant down there on the floor or something like that. So you poke a little hole, red ants come out, oh, we got to fix this. You fix it and the problem's covered. We might be looking at it like that. Oh, geez, these guys are messing around with these foundations. Okay, let's set up a bunch of lights like this. We'll put up an electric perimeter like this. And this is the system that keeps these big fellers out. They don't like this. They don't like electricity, guys. That's one thing I figured out a long time back. They're playing more and more with their hydro poles now, the big ones. But for the leaning part of playing with them, because that takes a lot of work, I guess, for them to be able to do that. But just to disturb the type of wood, even if it's treated lumber, I don't know if it's the splitting alone that they're doing to it, or maybe it's this heat thing we get into and talk and stuff, and they're able to draw a type of energy out of that wood that makes it dying faster, that it becomes unstable and it doesn't pass the, their little poke the wood test or whatever hydro has, because those poles are being pre-placed and stuff. That's why I threw that one up there and brought that up into that. Boy, it was about the electricity part of it or whatever, and them mucking around, because wherever, like if you just have communication poles, it's really easy for them. Communication wires and stuff, look at them sometimes, you'll see all of a sudden there's this really big dip in this one. And, they do this wire wrap around them and stuff, and you'll see sometimes where they just bundled all that wire wrap just down at this end. You'll see a pole, you'll see poles where they're like, all kinds of characteristics that will change if you start looking at even your poles in your neighborhood. So where am I? Okay, it was standing outside. Oh, okay. I was standing outside having a smoke. This is from Vibes. I was standing outside having a smoke. I heard an owl down a hill right by a pond, surrounded by trees. But it was loud as hell. Cool. It did this 5 times before I replied back at it, mimicking it. Cool. Then there was silence for around 30 seconds, then maybe 30 meters from me now, up the hill under an oak and maple tree, I heard a typical whooping sound. Oh, cool. Silence again, then it screamed like a human. I ran inside because it was right before nightfall. The next morning, on an old phone, I recorded the prints from the pond up the hill. Sweet! That's a crazy-ass story. Yeah, that is a crazy story, man. Vibes of the truth. Yeah, it's neat when you get those you get that sometimes too, where maybe the owl noise or whatever changes direction, the main guy. Like those number of videos I've done recently of all those dogs barking and stuff like that. You should have heard the coyotes in the middle of the night last night, the fake coyotes. Like, they were kind of just all over that little valley there, man. I just didn't have what it took to grab my camera and stuff, so we miss out on it. Prints like they were big deer tracks. Okay, they big time mimic those ones. Go try to find them all. Because then, like, on that day that you're looking, I'm saying, no, I'm not telling you to do this now, because obviously they're gone. But if you come across something like that, take the time and calculate all the markings in the area. Because if it's more than one, you're going to find a mistake. The pattern's not going to be the same. And look at the layout patterns and be justified with them, how this thing's supposed to be walking. And then all of a sudden I know the Earth's the same spongy here, and so on and so forth. You know, use that, trust your judgment, and because this is all part of that fooling technique. Am I 100% right with what I'm saying right now? I trust it to be pretty darn good way to give a person information to help them obtain what kind of an answer they want. Let's put it that way. If you know what I mean. Well, anything new going on? Any of you party animals out there? Living the life, the luxury. Hey, Catherine, how are you? You are new, yes you are. I live on 350 acres. Nice. Well, what would you say is a good way to begin to evaluate whether or not I have company? Okay. Ignore me if I am asking something inappropriate. Not at all. And I just don't like rude people, like people who are trying to be just a jerk, and you usually can pick that up. So no question is any problem. I'm good too. Thank you very much. You're in Alberta. Okay, right on. I'm in BC, eh? Then we get along famously. Right on. Yeah, well, that's right, because we're both Canadians, right? Okay, so one thing I want to point out to you right off the bat is because you're saying, what would you say is a good way to begin to evaluate whether or not I have company? Well, the first thing I would say to you is, when you talk to when you end up seeing a number of the people that live with them and they're in their yard, and then they start this process of communicating with them, a lot of people get fed up. They get tired of it. They want out of that situation. It can become more scary. You have to really be willing to dedicate how much thinking and how much bothersome that this whole change might be. You might be lucky enough where they don't go into that very much. But you might there's personalities, I believe. There's going to be something going on that makes that different. So you're opening that door. Soon as you're willing to start saying, hey, who's out here? Whatever, like me with the dog part there. I, on some reasons, keep it, people want me to do this and that or whatever, but I keep it on a dog level for a certain reason, because I'm trying to figure out information about them, and I'm letting them think that they're fooling me. Whether they fully believe that or not, I don't know. That might be part of their fool. But I believe that they kind of think as me as a fool and can't get beyond that yet. And so if you use that as a reference of understanding, so the biggest way for you to do it then without them knowing is take videotape your property there. You like your trees and stuff. Not like your house. You don't have to do that kind of stuff, but just get some of your trees and stuff. I'll tell you based off your trees, like an activity kind of thing, like if it seems like a heavy activity or not. Because they're going to for sure be on your property. For sure they cross your property. Minimally, they cross your property. If you have trees, minimally they do. If you have corn and you do any kind of growing or something, if there's types of food that they like there and appreciate those seasons, then they'll be coming out there and helping themselves too. And they're pretty sneaky about doing it. They don't necessarily come up to a bunch of peach trees and just take all the peaches. There might be, if they were on a hoarding thing and they were cross country, maybe they would do it in a case like that or something. But generally, if they're in that area, they'll just come and pick off that tree next time. Do things like this, maybe pick one and make it look like a worm was in it or something like that. Throw it down on the ground and leave it there for you so you can, they're falling off and the worms are getting into them. Stuff like this. So they're pretty sneaky guys. So, so just be really sneaky, basically, and don't be going like that and stuff. Like, don't be trying to, or like, if you're okay with it, I'm coming back into here to see what you have to say, but if you're okay with it, then yeah. South Central Ontario there, eh? Nice. When something is pulling a trick, they easily believe you are falling for it. Yeah, I know. It's the easiest one in the world, isn't it? Only a few chickens, okay. So, that could, you only have a few, so that's no big deal. But for people who automatically go, oh yeah, coyote got my whatever and stuff, I wouldn't be always on the spot of be willing to blame it on a coyote. So they actively put us off their trail. Yes, they do. They do. Question mark? But yeah, so I talk about a lot of the tree, how a character of a tree kind of, put it this way, so many of our evergreens and those kind of, like the hemlocks and the, cedars and all those big trees and stuff, most of them just have one top to them, just like a Christmas tree. You go by Christmas tree farms now around in this area and stuff, and you see all these little Christmas trees with multiple tops on them. All our trees around here, there probably is no more trees with a single top on it anymore. It's part of them doing what they're doing with the trees. I feel like to me, what it almost felt like, they did a migration then into the area and they hit everything too hard. And, when I found them in the campground, I believed I was doing research on work that they were someone was in town putting in the trails, putting in their housing system, but they weren't living there yet. That's what I felt was really going down when I found them in the campground. So, and then I continued to be able to see a lot of tree manipulations on the tops and stuff go on. And it's a continuing process, so everybody gets to see it. But it's hard to say whether because I kind of believe that I got to see a little bit of a heavy process. So in my 14 months of this journey, I got that 14 months of coming along, and I got to see their process of work increase for some reason. And now they're kind of panning out, but not necessarily. I can't fully say that because I've gone into certain areas where they're doing the fracking, the rock breaking, and the cliff defacing and all that kind of stuff along our highways and stuff. And that's pretty interesting to research because the rock changes color because a lot of them had been not bothered for umpteen hundreds of years or something or whatever. And so they're all a certain color. And then these guys come in and they do it different styles. They might pick at this rock, this huge mountain face here. They might pick at them. And then you just all of a sudden start realizing, hey, you can tell something's missing from there. And you can see that it's newer, fresh rock behind. And then, or you might, you see it all kinds of ways. You see it manipulated through a sliding system. If it's a real sandy kind of a thing, you might start noticing the big rock penetrations that are coming out. And you notice they dig under the rock and it starts to come out more. And I watched on somebody's front driveway right there. There's this huge rock that is slowly being dug out from like a clay-based thing right where their address is and everything, right? It's just quite hilarious. And I bet you the people, I don't even know if they realize that there's little piles of gravel being put at that all the time, and some different rocks are sitting there different times, and then they'll take the stuff away, and mind-blowing. So I had a dog that used to lose the mind over the coyotes. This is the first time I wondered whether they were real coyotes. Yeah, if the dog was, say if those ones weren't coyotes, say those ones when your dog used to do that weren't coyotes, and they really were Bigfoot, and your dog was still willing to do what he was doing and freaking out and stuff. If she's doing aggressive barking and stuff, but if you're talking about getting scared and freaking out, then that's different. But if the dog was doing that kind of an engagement, then that's a pretty courageous dog, because most dogs, I think, will want to cower down from these guys. My dog was kind of special in that way, because we opened the door together, and kind of in some respects we're both sticking our heads in together. And I believe what happened in those couple of first number of days of me finding my location and then driving my couple of 3 valleys home every time, they ended up following me. Because right away, because I'm only learning information over there, but I was also getting some clues of some noises and weird things going on the farm I was living at, right? And then Jack, my dog, would get loose and go out there and have a ball. He ended up getting into a couple of fights where he ended up with claw marks on him on one of them, and fang marks on his hip on one side, and a tear on this side of his other hip. So we're talking that wide of a whatever. And that's on video. You can find it on my channel. Just punch up Jack, the Catahoula hound dog or something, and fang bites. And it's just trippy stuff. But I think because he got to survive those couple of scraps, they gave him space, because he got to a few times, and we would go out there and on the island and stuff. He went running a few times through those forests and stuff like that. And I don't know if he was just way smarter at picking them out. Jack wasn't a super smart guy, so, I was sometimes wondering. I started near the end there. I was a lot less taking a risk of him running around like that. I ended up coming to a conclusion that me hoping that he was friends with them and that smart and stuff was maybe just more of a hope. Not to say that, but because they will steal dogs, and they can grab your dog and go, and he's silent, so no noise come out. So you got to realize you're not letting your dogs off the leash anymore if you can. Like, control them, I would, because your dog's better off to be with you in any of these situations that could be kind of uncomfortable. Okay, so a video of boulder and stick weave. Oh yeah, a boulder and stick weave together, eh? Burial ground. I don't know with the lingo or anything like that. It's really hard to say. They're kind of an artist in a way too, right? So, Bro Tin Man, what does it mean when a small Y stick is holding up a very large stick? Absolutely nothing. It probably just means it might get your attention for a while and you'll hang out there for a while and they can sit over here and watch you or something. That's what I kind of get out of that stuff. You know, it's almost like if your kids did it in the backyard and they just happened to do it and you just looked over there and you just know the kids really have no reason why they're necessarily doing that. I fairly quickly put it in that category. So there might be a bit of an answer for it, but that answer is so hard to come up with because culture to culture could be different. Reason to reason could be totally different. Why your kid was willing to do it in his backyard and the next door neighbor kid did it in their backyard, you know. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a sass or anything like that, but those kind of things are, I don't see how they're pointers of direction. They don't wear clothes, so they didn't have any clothes hung up on it. Is it really a sign to a UFO? Well, I believe I've been in so many situations, I get no understanding, except for those lights, of no inkling of UFO kind of activity or anything like that. So my words are really coming from my research. I've been vocally threatened and smashed on trees, threatened this one in particular time that is amazing, and a lot of people can really connect with that video. It's a video up. And then I got a couple of visuals, my first face-to-face. If you read my comments and stuff, and good comments on there, you'll really come into cluing in. You're going to be looking right there, first face-to-face, and try to zoom into this area right there. Try to bring that up so you can see it better, like I guess bring it up like that. And you'll really connect there. My baboon head male there. If you connect with him or whatever, then with that stuff, then you'll start realizing, okay, this guy really does have some amazing footage. So maybe I should listen to his stuff, because I'm really pushing what I say, and there's reasons for it, is because it's going to be one of our newfound industries for our world to continue going as good as it is, and hopefully getting better. Definitely terrified. Catherine was saying after she had the dog was terrified. Okay. Sorry, my dog was definitely terrified. Yeah. Not brave. Cowering for sure. Yeah, Jack was pretty incredible. He was a high maintenance dog, but he was incredible. Just how I chose to continue on with my research and stuff. It wasn't the life for Jack, so. And I thought things over here were scary. Yeah. The video. Okay, cool. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Hey, Venom, how's it doing? Just chilling, hanging out, telling a couple of stories, you know me, trying to get people thinking. Harrison Harry, why do you think we don't find any tracks in the snow? Not sure, eh? Making sure that they bury them well. Maybe they have a type of technique where, as you know, if you had to do a thing, then you just... Because that's how they do it with our, that's why they like lots of leaves, I would say. And sometimes if you watch leaves and you walk the same path, after a while you'll see them over mulched. Doesn't make sense how much mulched up those leaves got there. And it's because of the process of moving them around so much and stuff like that. And maybe, get a little bit more over there and stuff. And that's part of their hiding program. So would there be a way that they could do that with snow? I don't see how they could do it very easily. So avoid. Because I wouldn't doubt it if they shut it down pretty good at some times in the snow, have their food backed up somewhat. I did, Harry. Tin Man, good seeing you. Malige? James? Good seeing you too. You're writing. Good seeing you and hearing you. Right on. I really appreciate the work you're involved in. Would you say that an X-stick formation means to not enter an area beyond that point in that particular direction? I don't think so. Could one of the beings himself put that up there and kind of think, yeah, I don't want anybody to come in here and maybe think that? Yeah, I think that could be the thing. But I also think he could just be grabbing a different stick and putting it up on the branches like that to stop you from going in there. That's one of the things that we notice at gates, that we call them gates and it's not an open door. It's because that's what they're doing. They're already making a statement, and that's why we call it a gate, and it's generally a closed gate, and it's a stick like that, and you got to lift it out of the way or whatever, and then you go in there, and then as soon as you kind of get through, you realize, okay, so I see how the path system works now. But the gate piece was really confusing you, but there was enough of an interest to think, no, I think this is a way through. And then once you poke your head through, that's when you get more of the answer, whether you were right on that spot or not. So a big X like that, because on my first face-to-face location, I think it was probably, I don't know if it was my very first day or if it was my second day as I'm driving by, I was hyped on that big X thing. So that we're talking like 14 months ago, okay? As I'm driving, I go, yeah, there is. And it's just two huge trees. And it's a great big X. And when I came back and started to think about that more and stuff, I kind of was first getting an appearance that it was a marker, but it was kind of almost like for the other side of the street and stuff. But I don't know if I would continue believing that, right? But I think it's an owned territorial marking, maybe. Maybe I would go with that. You know, because like in this in particular case, we're talking, I don't know, let's go with 50-foot trees. Maybe bigger. And right on the side of the road, right in an area where most people don't come in that spot, but it is a bit of a pathway that led to what I referred to as their nesting station and stuff. And it did give Sasquatch pathway impressions, so not like human trails. So yeah, you know, maybe I'm coming up with that could be very well a territorial is maybe how I'd be willing to go off with that. Went out today, gonna download tomorrow. Nice. Get some good stuff there, Mark? Yep. Cedar trees, pretty well there. Oh, nice. Right on. You're very welcome, Jamil. There we go. I think I said James before, but Jamil. Boundary markers. You're talking about the big X? Yeah, I don't know. Okay. You know, how do they interact with lakes? Well, one of my things with that is, you know how you have several lakes. They like lakes. They like water. You know, it's probably one of their big life source things of being close to water. You know, I believe in some cases they might even carry water to some of their things that they're taking care of. You know, maybe some plants or something that they want to give some extra water and stuff like that. I believe that they've even will go through that process sometimes. Another thing that I've thought about lakes, because it seems like there's been a few times when people have gone missing around lakes. So one of my things I think about is kind of like almost like a thought of a beaver, because it seems that they're at least probably, we're going to find out, is they're big cave dwellers. I've seen so many different fracking and breaking where they're doing so much rock work, well, where I just know they're masters with the rocks. So I can personally see that I believe they must be making tons of caves too, and take advantage of maybe even a natural cave and build into it and make it more grandeur and stuff. So now when it comes to water and stuff, because I'm including kind of in a way, like, because cave is under earth, we got to be realistic and realize there could be, where I'm parked right now, below me 20 feet, maybe it's an unbelievable just mountain of rock under here, right? I don't know, like, how do we know all our locations of rock and stuff? So if you kind of think about a beaver's hut and how a beaver has no water in there, as the water level is here, his hole, he has to just go underwater a little bit. Now he's up in his hut and he can be dry in there and such like that. So that is one of the thoughts with lake kind of a thing. If there's any way that they are in a lake, down a tunnel, come up here, where where somebody has their big hill rise up there and it's whatever. They're out of the water table. And and it really is all rock under there, and it's all shored or whatever, shoring, how it's supported properly and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I think about lakes as for one of their maybe interests. But keep in mind that if you're not in a heavily populated area, then they will most likely not be heavily populated. If you're on a subdivision and all the mountains behind you and stuff, and you're on a subdivision and this subdivision's got 1,000 houses, then pretty much that forest behind you is going to have a living, active clan in there. If that's just your house now, we're on that 350 acre thing. If that's yours, and this one over here is another a half a section, and this one's a full section, and all that kind of stuff, and your houses are so sporadic and stuff like that, I don't know exactly yet. It depends on the situation. I think everyone would evolve into a different situation, because it's going to depend on how their vein system, how their trails, because they're the same as us. They like the vein system, they like the trails. They are the same with us, where they know how to get to everywhere through a trail, and that's how we do it too. We know how to get to everywhere through a trail, so it kind of shows a relation with them. So what you do is you figure out their trails. And Catherine, like we're kind of saying there, then you can be watching and trying to figure out their trails and stuff, and just do your best that you're not giving them any of the language of that. You're looking at the birds. If you had another dog or whatever, and you're walking your dog, and you get your dog to walk over here, but you're standing there and you're checking out the tree and you're trying to see some of these symptoms that I'm talking about and stuff. See if you're trying to pick out any claw marks. Don't go, oh my God, there's a claw mark. You guys are in my yard. Because that night you might get knock on the door, or a rock or a present or whatever, and that might turn into some kind of a great adventure, or it might turn into a pain in the ass. Several lakes, that's cool. There's a lot of info out there. How do you know what's real or fake? Because I'm coming up with my own info. That's how. I'm not relying on other people. if somebody tells me something that I find interesting or something, I don't make that part of my info. I might make it part of a story that I'm working on and understanding that I'm working on and stuff. But, yeah. And you got to get trust. And you have to have a certain amount of trust. And you got to do your homework. Like, I got a few of my viewers, even a couple of them right now that are hanging on here tonight, that have been with me for the whole time. Hey, Mark? You've been... Oh, well, we're way down here. So I'm going to screen through here. Tin Man found an old phone. I am going to upload the video. Okay. Right on. That's the way to do it. Underground springs, yep. So that's another thing then, Catherine. With fracking, you're up in Alberta there, so you know how we do the fracking for our oil reserves. They do that up there and stuff. So basically there's oil way down here, and they frack and just pry rocks apart and stuff, and the oil rechanges its deposit and comes over here and stuff. Well, the same thing can happen with water, obviously, then, because water is the same thing. It can be also stored underground, and so they can create different springs and stuff and come across ground springs and make them come out somewhere else and change up things like that. So I personally have come across a number of, the big fancy highway water canals, where at one time we had a ton of water coming down there, and they built this canal that probably cost $1 million to have that put into the highway and stuff. And now you drive by and it's dry, and they're not even being used, they're not, they really, in a way, almost like a fail, but it's really not a fail necessarily. I question, well, why was that they had to build such a big one? Now it's just a little stream coming through or whatever. What's up with that? Those kind of answers. And nobody questions it ever later down the road. It never comes up that, that culvert we put in, 10 years ago never worked out. So does it make sense to put that big of a culvert over here? Or is there a simplified system for testing out their grounds? That's one of the things that we'll come across a lot of that, where we can test out their activity. Kind of like what you're saying right now, Christine. Dry pockets from water erosion. I think they disappear underground. All the big rocks in the woods they could have over a hole. Yeah. Missouri is full of caves. Yeah. If you go and look at those caves, Mark, if you can tell that they're a cave that is kind of made from the... Because when you make a cave, you almost have to make the top like it's a shelf that will stay there. So within the cave part of it, see how natural that formation seems? Or if it really almost seems like it did primarily start and worry about that, and then work the rest of it opening down, however big that opening is. Because then what you're doing is you're getting the information about because they find the roofs of them very important, because they don't want to get crushed or have it falling apart or anything like that. So that's their importance, just like us. And yeah, that'll be like a signature kind of a Bigfoot starting of a cave and stuff. So I refer to a lot of those things in some of my journeys about these top shelf little startings of caves and stuff, and I always refer to them as a top shelf, because it seems like that's the important place. If this ends up jiggy jaggy where they're going to be walking and all that kind of stuff, they don't give a crap. They have a conscience about getting crushed. If you're gone, then good night to you, Tin Man. I'm still here, sir. I've got to catch up on the last 3 days worth of videos you've posted before bed. Right on, man. Thank you very much, Jamil. I have lots of pictures of trees at the base with open wounds healed, used to for ventilation for caves. And you think, okay, do you think that they live on the outskirts of the big city? For sure, and they'll somewhat be wanting to live in your big parks and stuff of the big city too. Whether they're successful to have that, I think these guys can get into an area pretty darn quick. So even if they're working 2 miles down the road or whatever, they can probably get there faster than we can get there in our cars, and it's not even really working up a sweat. So for, to live around the corner, in other words, in lots of cases, may be the thing. They like view heights. They like to be able to be watching over, so. It's a mix, Catherine is saying, it's a mix of acreage and farmland. Pasture and lots of trees and marsh. Nice. You're getting all the ecos in there, eh? Megafauna. Would a game cam capture them? If so, surely there would be photos already. Exactly. I think you picked it up pretty good there. It's hard to fool them. And yeah. You might find, because people are finding that where they're fooling around with the camera a little bit and stuff like that, where they maybe put their hand across in front. It might never give you any good information, but might give you the piece of information that you're wanting to know about them being in your yard. But I'm telling you right now, Catherine, without a doubt, totally from my heart, I say that, like I said, they'll walk through your yard at least, because they'll be, well, the way that you describe your yard there just now with all that ecosystem and stuff, they'll love your yard. They would love that. That is kind of what it's about in a way, right? That's why you have it in your yard, is because you admire it. You didn't go and turn it all into fields and stuff. Okay, the rock piles you filmed, you thought they were under them? Yeah, if you're talking about that one in particular place where my waterfall clan is and stuff like that, they do huge rock shifting. I haven't gotten to this one spot there that's just over and around there, but you guys are going to be blown away from this, Mark, because each rock, the pile is just huge. It's as big as, let's say, 2 or 3 dump trucks. And the rocks are so piled. They're, because these are all fracked rocks, broken rocks and stuff. So they're no longer where they have large sections touching or anything. They've turned them in such a way that it's all key points on the rocks. And what that does is it makes for the coolest of noise. So when you're walking around on it, you can feel it, that it's still solid as anything. But just because of the vibrational noise and stuff, how much it's changed, man, it's so interesting. And I've never walked on any rock like that ever in my life. And I've been, but I'll get that one on video. That one's just on the other side of the river and stuff. Maybe I'll go do that tomorrow. Head over there to the Waterfall Clan tomorrow and just have a nice chill day. I've been watching them. If you're talking about, Mark, also where that top ended up all becoming like that mossy grass stuff and really fine rock and all that stuff, I've watched all that process being happened. When I first came across it, it was a narrow patch like that. And I've been filming, so I have a number of documented clips there. But I got a lot of things, hundreds of things. But how do I really put it here and kind of present you, or in a video form or whatever type thing, right? So my biggest thing is just about the documentation of it. And when it comes down to it, if it's about putting them side by side somehow and stuff, and breaking them all down into pictures and stuff, it's just right all there to be able to be done. So it's possible for it. What's that? It is possible, Venom. They have the sense of animals and the intelligence of humans. I missed that one. I understand your point about not being excitable, leaving room to be ignored. That's how I will approach it. Yeah, like I'm talking, there's one friend that comes on the YouTube here, and he's been questioning a couple of times how much if he's bitten off too much of a feet or whatever. He's questioned it a couple of times. So I straight up told him, I said, if you're having the second thoughts, man, and you want to stop, you got to stop right now and never look in the forest again, never look at that tree again, never do this again or anything like that. Keep your eyes to the ground and just go forward like that. But he's got too much of the bug. It won't work for him. He wants answers. Cool 10, man. Hopefully it's safe sleeping in the car. Lots of crazy stuff going on out there. Be safe. Thank you very much, Harry. Saw trees today that you've pointed out with the scarring from claws. Did you? So now that you're starting to see that stuff, you'll keep watching some of the types of claw character in some of the wood that you find, man. You're just going to be blown away. Limestone here, solid. Oh yeah. Check out the urban Sasquatch. Venom said, okay. In town, squatching. So better than a game cam, maybe I would walk around innocently but have a camera pointing backwards. That's an excellent plan. Hey Michael, how's it going? I will keep sharing. Thank you very much. Venom is saying, I've seen some structures at the park, yeah, that me and the kids go and fish. That's why I ask about the big city. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's right, man. And then, like I said, they'll even be, so the housing that they're able to do, it's... I don't know. We'll figure those answers out. I think I'm coming to my end. What do you guys think? Ooh, or ooh, Kathleen is saying. Catherine, if they are changing the landscape, what about time-lapse photography? Exactly. And that's kind of what I do in my research. And so, yeah, that's perfect. And I've told that many times, actually, Catherine. I'm glad you're kind of bringing that up. Told that many times to people. This is the best proof. Is just, and try to be, like you're saying, time-lapse or whatever, the camera would be kind of in the exact same spot. So try to bring those things, the calculated spot, into the same spot every time. Take those pictures, and then whether it's a week later, or it's a month later, or 2 months later, a little bit more often is better. Because it's going to be harder to blame, it must have been that storm last Tuesday that broke all those 12 of them. But meanwhile, if you did time-lapse films, maybe you've seen 2 of them break on, in between this time, and 2 of them were broken at this other time. And that's a nice thing to look towards, is looking where maybe your sun, so you catch it on a certain sunrise and stuff, so you're getting that certain look through all what you're, I'm sorry, I got mixed up there. Some people are totally checking me out, like they think I'm waiting to rob the store or something. But that's a really good way to do it, with the sun as a backdrop. Also, if you can do that kind of stuff, because you never know what you're going to see in the trees, because I'm also claiming that we see stuff in different trees. Obviously, wherever they're going to be clanning up, there's a certain amount of tree dwelling that they do. And yeah, it's trippy, man. I think I'm coming to my end. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Get that Facebook going. Yes, I got to get that doing. Hey, did you see that message I sent you, Mark? Good, you can talk on Messenger and share pictures and videos. Oh, okay. More people involved. Have a squatch group with good people and researchers sharing knowledge. Only members. See no haters, no drama. Oh, I see. Okay. Julie, how you doing? Fascinating. Thank you. Send the number right on. I'm just about to shut her down, Julie. I hope you were hanging around for a bit. Take care, everybody. Does anyone have an opinion about whether they form couples or one male, many females? I don't have an opinion there yet. I kind of hope that there's, a number of males around, because when it's just one male covering a certain amount of females, then there might be a little bit of more aggressiveness because of that. Have a good one, Tin Man. I'm great. I'm good, Julie. Alpha male, yeah. I will sleep well. Take care, everyone. Thanks for the great show up. Definitely a social order of some sort, for sure, or else they would not behave as well as they do, hey? Take care, I will, for sure. So delighted to have discovered you. Thank you very much, Catherine. You subscribe right on and share this obviously, whatever when it comes to your privacy of your property and stuff, but, at the office, whatever type thing, just the subject of Bigfoot, because it's really something that the world is being opened up to right now, and we don't want to all of a sudden realize we're in a rush about it, because then people are going to get too upset with this kind of a thing. This isn't the same as, the icebergs melting, because we visually get to watch them. We get to feel the air and stuff like that, so we know how that's affecting us or whatever type thing. We're having some process go with that. Here it's so much in the dark. It's just in the dark, right? So God bless and be safe to us all for sure. Take care.